We are in the Lithuanian Days of Pennsylvania core region, and I speak to Edward Timinskas, whose last name was later shortened to Timins.
Yes.
And he is actually a reconstructor of Lithuanian partisans.
Yes.
So how came, even though you were born in America and your parents were born in America and it were your grandparents who immigrated, how come you love Lithuania so much that you decided to reconstruct Lithuanian partisan warfare?
My parents, my grandparents, and so forth, we believed in our heritage. The food that we ate, the Lithuanian food that my grandmother would make, my mom would make, so it was really part of our lifestyle. Also, I went to a Lithuanian grade school, so we did learn some songs and things like that. That was a little bit of our upbringing. So it was always something I was really interested in, but in America it's very hard to find information about Lithuania. So I would go to the library and I would look up find any books I could find on Lithuanian. Sometimes there was only a few, but one year I went in and I found a book on the Lithuanian Forest Brothers, and that really, made me interested in the actions of the Forest Brothers after World War II. And then when I went to college, I had an opportunity in my last year. There was a course, and it was to go to Soviet Russia for 2 weeks. And it was Moscow, Leningrad, and Vilnius. I decided I wanted to go see, what Lithuania was like. So I took the trip and we visited the cities. I saw the Bolshoi Ballet, went to see the circus at Leningrad, and went to Vilnius. When I went to Vilnius, I was kind of shocked how different it was from Russia. It was really so occupied. Russian soldiers walking down the street. I even had an incident where I stepped off the sidewalk and had a policeman yell at me. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I ended up walking away, and he was still yelling at me. We were brought into a room one day, and we thought they would be talking about culture or something like that. And the men started bringing up the subject about the fascist bandits. We were just amazed at why were they talking about this, that we didn't think it wasn't in existence at the time. And it seemed like they were still concerned in 1975 about that. So this is many of the things that kept me interested in the Lithuanian culture.
This coal region is unique in that it is among the most Lithuanian places in America, especially here in southern coal region, but even in cities such as Scranton or Wilkes-Barre, there are enough Lithuanians to actually form these Lithuanian schools that you mentioned, or Lithuanian parishes, and that's how Lithuanian traditions continued even for so many generations. So how was the life for your grandparents at the time? What was the miner's life that these Lithuanians would have left Lithuania for to live here in America?
My grandfather, Anthony Timinskas, when he was in Lithuania, he worked on ranches raising horses. So he felt he had some background in that knowledge, so that when he went to the United States, he felt that he could continue helping to raise horses and make that as part of his career. But unfortunately, when he came to the United States in 1897, the automobile was taking control, and most people that were wealthy and had money were no longer buying horses. That's the reason why he immigrated with many others to the coal region and ended up working in a mine. One thing, they always faced extreme danger. Every day there was always a possibility of cave-ins. Deaths of miners was very common. In fact, mine whistles that indicated a cave-in in the valley might blow every day, indicating that there was some accident that was going on. So it was a dangerous job, it was a hard job. Many of the miners also suffered later on in life with black lung disease because they didn't wear masks or anything to protect themselves from the coal dust. In fact, my uncle, in his later years, he did get checks from the government for black lung, because his lungs had been coated with the coal dust. And that really contributed with his passing in 1990.
Was your family directly involved in the mining disasters?
As far as I know, none of my grandfathers were injured in the mines. When the miners would be injured in the mines, the mine owners thought it was not their responsibility to get the injured miner to the hospital. So what they usually would do is they would take the injured or dead miner and bring it back to their home. Take the body, put it on the kitchen floor, and it was up to the family to deal with the circumstances. My uncle told me one time that he was in that situation where his back was ripped open in a mine subsidence, and he was carried to my grandparents' kitchen, laid on the floor, and it was up to them to take them to the nearest hospital. They lived from paycheck to paycheck. The miners were not paid very well. Lithuanian miners, when they did get paid, many times because of the stress, because of the possibility of being injured, one of their avenues was to go to the local bars and to drink. And it was not uncommon that they may even drink up their entire salary. So many of the times the miners' wives would arrive at the bars in order to get enough money from the miners so they could pay the bills before the miner drank away all the money that he had been paid. It was also very difficult during the Depression, because during the Depression, mines were not open every day of the week, so sometimes they had to live off of even smaller salaries when they were working in the mines during the Depression.
Indeed, this story of Lithuanian miners is actually a story that over 100,000 of Lithuanians took in America. It was one of the most popular Lithuanian jobs before World War I. There are still very many places to learn about it. There are places such as coal mines. You can descend into them, you can hear the stories of how hard the work was, and even about the Lithuanians who worked there. And then there are all these buildings built by Lithuanians, Lithuanian churches, Lithuanian clubs, Lithuanian cemeteries. More than 100 of these places we have visited in the Pennsylvania coal region. We mapped all of them, and you can see every of these places online on map.lithuania.com, and hopefully even visit some of them yourself. This is certainly one of the most Lithuanian history imbibed areas outside Lithuania, and I am glad to be here in these Lithuanian days and to see that even though so many Lithuanian institutions have folded over the time, there are still Lithuanian people in the third and fourth generation who consider it extremely important to safeguard the Lithuanian traditions even today.